Hi guys, welcome back to my kitchen. As promised in the avocado chicken video, I'm going to be showing you how to make a fat-free sponge cake. So what we're going to have is we've got some simple ingredients. There is absolutely no fat gone into this whatsoever. We're not even going to be greasing the tin or anything like that. Normally you'd grease and flour a tin, but we're going to be using some baking parchment in the bottom of these tins to keep it from sticking. So without further ado, we're going to bring you back over to the kitchen and we'll show you the ingredients and we'll get started in making this fat-free sponge. Alright guys, so we've got the ingredients in front of us. We've got 1 lime, 1 lemon, 4 eggs, 100 grams of self-raising flour, 100 grams of caster sugar. We've got just over a teaspoon of baking powder and some salt as well. About a pinch of salt will do. So what we're going to get started with initially is the basis of the sponge cake. So put the flour to the side, we'll put our lemons to the side, or lemon and lime. What we need is the eggs and the sugar and the baking powder and salt. What we're going to do is you're going to put all of the eggs into your big mixing bowl, so you can crack them all in. Let's see if we can do this without making a mess. Oh, we've already got some shell in there. This is going to go well. 1, 2, 3, and 4. Yay, I can count. Quick rinse my hands. Then we're going to get that 100 grams of sugar straight in there, and the baking powder and the salt. So all of that's going in there. Then we're going to use our magic blender thing, hand mixer, that's the word. You can use a standard whisk if you wish. It's going to take a long time though, because what we're going for with the eggs here is we are trying to make it as light and airy as possible. When you get to that stage, it will be the eggs will actually form soft peaks, even with the baking powder and the extra sugar in there and the yolks in there. You will still get soft peaks with this egg mix. So we're just going to start it up by breaking up the yolks, and then we'll just start her up, hopefully. There we go. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to keep going at this until it's got to the stage that we need it to be at, and then I'll be right back. For ease of time, I'm going to stop there. As you can see, if we take that away, you can see that trail getting placed in there. Disappears fairly quickly, but it's nice and light and airy, and you've seen the size difference from what we originally had to what's now in the bowl. So we're going to take the blender away, and what we're going to do next is just sit that to the side. Into our flour we are going to zest a lime, doesn't need to be all of it, you just want a good quantity of lime zest in there, just for that flavour. Because what I'm going to do is we're going to do a lemon drizzle sponge cake with this, without any butter. So it's perfectly fat-free lemon drizzle. It's high in sugar, don't forget, but there's no fat in there whatsoever. So that's enough lime for this. And we're going to have some of the lemon zest. Again, not all of it, because what we want to do is save some of that zest for the mix that goes on top to give it that nice crunch. That'll do for the lemon as well. Like so. What we're going to do now is, using a spatula, we're going to gently fold in this flour mix. Now if you start with just over a tablespoon, just to get it started, and then with gentle movements you're just gently rolling that over and flicking it through. You're just folding that flour in, getting it evenly spread through this mix without beating the air back out that you've just put into that egg mix. It is important that we don't lose the air. The more air you lose during this stage, the less your cake will rise. So I'm going to go ahead and just finish off the rest of this, and we'll be right back. Again, we're just going to fold the last of this in. What I will say is we've got the oven on at gas mark 6, which is, if I remember rightly, 200 degrees centigrade or 400 degrees Fahrenheit. I will put the conversions in the description below as usual, and again we'll put the ingredients list in the description below as well. But we're almost there with this. As I said earlier, I've prepared 2 sandwich tins with greaseproof paper as opposed to using butter and flour to line the tins. Just line the bottom with greaseproof paper, and the sides don't need to be lined, because as this cooks, or once it's cooked and starts to cool, it will come away from the sides and start to shrink ever so slightly whilst it cools, and at that point you can flip it upside down onto your wire cooling rack and have that sitting there and ready to cool properly all the way down. So we're going to put this in, split this between the 2 tins, and there is a little bit of something extra you do with this mix to make sure you get a nice even cake finished, even finished cake, which I'll show you now. And let's just get that sorted. So here are the 2 sandwich tins. Obviously I've got the greaseproof in the bottom. So what we're going to do is we're going to very gently get half the mix into one and half the mix into the other, and then I'll show you how we're going to make sure we get an even finished cake. Right, it will rise evenly, it won't go up the sides, it won't sort of rise too much in the middle and give you this mountain in the middle, which we don't want. We want a nice even rising all the way through. Oh dear, I just lost a lot of air there. One more in there, and I think I can put the rest into this one. a bit difficult to show you or try and stay out of the way of the camera here, but I will give it my best. I am learning still, so do bear with me. Just going to get my spatula to scrape that out, make sure we've got as much of this mixture as we can. You probably can't see this in shot. I'm just scraping the spoon with the spatula first. Pop the spoon in the sink, and then I'm just going to use the spatula to run round the bowl and empty it out. So because the way these cakes rise in the oven, what you're actually going to do is you're going to gently move some of the mixture away from the centre towards the sides. It will start to fall back in, but though you do it long enough, there will be a noticeable divot in the middle, as you can see, and then we'll do the same with this one. And what that will do is it allows the sponge mix to rise in the middle and the sides evenly. So we're going to get that put in the oven now. As I say, we're going in at gas mark 6. We're going to go in for about 20 to 25 minutes. At 20 minutes we will check them to see if they're soft and springy to the touch. If they are, we'll then put the skewer into it and make sure it comes out completely clean. So here we go. So they've gone in at gas mark 6, they've gone in the middle of the oven, both on the same shelf, and we just have to wait for the timer to go off, and we'll be back. So I'll see you soon. Bye bye. Welcome back, guys. What we're going to do is, the sponges are ready to come out of the oven. But first things first, we're going to make our drizzle mix that's going to go in, that we're going to put on top of that as soon as it comes out of the oven. So what you're going to do is you're going to roll your lemon before you cut it in half, and that way you can get as much of the juices out as possible. You can squeeze it by hand from one hand into another hand to catch all the seeds if you don't have a squeezer, or whatever this thing's actually called. So that's the juice of one whole lemon, and we're going to use the juice of half a lime in there as well. Again, I'm just going to roll my lime just to break it up and get those juices starting to flow. Oh, come on. I need to sharpen this knife. So we're going to just use juice of half a lime. Into that juice we are going to pour some sugar, and you're going to have quite a bit of sugar in there. As I said at the beginning of this, it's a very sugar heavy, but what you're going to do is you're just going to mix that all together so that sugar starts to dissolve and you just get this liquid, almost. You'll get a grainy liquid. Now I'm going to take the cakes out of the oven, and we're going to get this mixture onto our cakes. Here's one. A little bit dark, but it's cooked. And it's not burnt, it's just a little bit on the dark side. If you've got to this stage and it is a little bit dark, if you don't like it, then you can just cut that off before you do the next bit. I mean, it's easy enough to do with a sharp blade, or sharpish. You can just take off. Oh dear, it's a little bit overcooked, not good. But not to worry, we're going to soften any of this up quite easily with our juice. So what you need to do, whilst it's still hot, stab it with your skewer and then we're just going to take the mix and spoon it over the top, making sure to cover all of the cake, hopefully, not it going everywhere. And then as it cools, you'll get this beautiful crispy top, whilst all of those juices will have gone into the sponge and give you a nice moist sponge. So leave that to cool in the trays for about 2 to 3 more minutes, and then what we'll do at that stage is we'll get them onto the cooling rack where they can finish off cooling. So we're back. I'm just going to take these out of the pans and get them onto the cooling rack. So I'm just going to run my knife around the outside. Just to make sure that we're fully released from the sides. And do a quick flip. Peel off that greaseproof paper and get it onto our cooling rack. And we'll do the same with the other one as well. You don't have to put this top on the sponge. If you just make the sponge as we did, then you can use that sponge for whatever you want. There's absolutely no reason that it has to be lemon. I just prefer a lemon sponge, so that's why I'm making that. So get that on the side, wash my hands once more. Once that's cooled down, I think I'm going to use this one as a base because it's flatter. What I'm going to do is I'm going to put some lemon curd onto that, and then I'm going to lift this up and sit that on the top there, and then you have a fat-free lemon drizzle sponge, which I will show you once we're ready. So that's had a chance to cool down. Before anyone makes a comment that lemon curd isn't fat-free, actually this is a homemade lemon curd that I've done, and it is a fat-free lemon curd. If you guys want that recipe, then let me know and I will show you that recipe once I've run out of this one, which won't be too much longer. I haven't got much left in the jar. So I'm just going to spread this over the top of the sponge, trying to get an even coat throughout. Doesn't need to be thick because we've got such a moist cake and we've got a really lemony flavour through that, basically just lemon juice that's soaked down through into the sponges. So that's nicely covered, and we're just going to sit this one on top, and that's ready to just finish off and plate. Swap this out. Put the plate. Drop the sponge onto the plate. Wash my hands. And now for the final touch, I'm just going to give it a very light dusting with some icing sugar on top again. And there we have a rustic looking, fat-free lemon drizzle cake, ready to serve, ready to eat. You can slice it up and freeze it in slices. You can freeze it as a whole if you wrap it with kitchen foil. I prefer to slice it then wrap it with foil, and that way I only have to defrost a slice at a time rather than defrosting the whole thing, which will just ruin it, because once you defrost this then you have to eat it. You can't refreeze it. But there you have it, guys. One fat-free lemon drizzle cake. Hope you like it. If you do, then don't forget to put a comment down below and let me know. Or hit that like button as well. That also lets me know that you want me to continue these videos. So once again, thanks ever so much for spending time with me in my kitchen. And we'll see you next time. Bye-bye.